Welcome to Women in the Know, where we discuss everything from politics and policy to relationships and marketing. We take the things that we have learned through our life experience, our business experience, and our interviews and share them with you so that we can all gain a little knowledge and learn a little something. So, Rebecca, today we wanted to kind of launch off of something Claire Moore brought up, and it was a Sheryl Sandberg quote about wishing we could tell little girls instead of telling them that instead of being bossy, they are future leaders, not labeling them as bossy. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think it's a really interesting switch, and I know a lot of us, especially who end up in business, have been accused of being bossy before.
Bossy. It's so true. It's a quote that I really like. My daughter frequently refers to it when she's talking about her red-headed, opinionated 11-year-old who is bossy and strong-willed and all of those kinds of things. And she has to constantly remind herself, well, this means she's going to be a leader. So it actually gives my daughter some relief that, okay, well, she's not just bossy, she's going to be a leader. It's just showing up very young.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting because when we were talking to Claire, I realized a lot of this is generational. I was a bossy pants of my three brothers, two younger, one older. Of the neighborhood, I was the one that put on the plays and told people what to do. There's a bossy pants in me still to this day. And in my generation, being a bossy pants woman meant you weren't going to get married. And maybe that explains why I'm not married. But, but nonetheless, it was not considered in my generation a positive attribute for a woman to have. But here's Claire, young and beautiful and a leader who's embracing her bossy, she called it bossy boots, right? And it's actually been beneficial for her. And I think the younger generations are actually appreciating the leadership qualities, what used to be called bossy, in young women, and they're actually nurturing it and bringing it forward. So I think it's fabulous. I think maybe I was just born in the wrong generation. I'm not really sure what the problem is. But what were your thoughts on this whole bossy leadership kind of idea?
Well, I think it is generational to a point, but I also think not every company is this open-minded and embracing of female leadership. And so I think that one thing that struck me was, and we talked about it in the interview, that the culture that they have created at Tide Cleaners and in her group is very conducive to female leadership. And they have her immediate team is all women. The team above her is a lot of women. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that as a company, you probably have to be pretty intentional about that for it to happen. I don't know that it's completely natural yet, but I do think women like her, because I'm guessing she's probably 10 years or so younger than me, or maybe a little more. Um, I think the opportunities are more abundant. And I think those qualities are going to be more appreciated. I think I'm still in a range where it was not so much when I was coming up in my 20s and 30s. So I do think it is changing. And I also think that it is generational. And I also think that it has to be the culture in the place that you're working.
And
Um,
yeah, and Tide Cleaners has clearly created that culture that it's okay to have an opinion, it's okay to speak up, and at the same time, they offer feedback for you to continue to grow personally and professionally. And at the same time, the message that you get, the way Claire described it, is we have your back, even if you make a mistake, even if it's a poor idea and you execute it poorly. So it's a safe environment for her to express her leadership skills. And sometimes she's going to fail, and sometimes she's going to succeed. And I thought it was a great example for all companies, franchising in particular, to allow these young leaders to come up by giving them a safe space to express themselves.
mhm. Yeah, and supporting mistakes and supporting ideas that might not be fully formed or are on the right track, but not quite there, and embracing the collaboration that comes from throwing something out there. I always go back to my sister, who's an art teacher, who, and it's such a good analogy for all of these things, who a child might be stuck and say, I don't know what to write, and they have a blank piece of paper. And she said, I can't help you till you put something on the paper. I can't give you any real
Yeah,
direction until
good
something is
example.
there to correct or to go forward from. And I was thinking about that when Claire was talking. She, so many times she would say, well, my recommendation, she would be upset if it wasn't just taken as is, instead of recognizing, like in her early years, that it was a beginning point of a process.
Mhm.
And until something is out there, you don't have a place to work from. So I think if we kind of all can keep that in mind, especially if it's a creative process. And I think a lot of times in companies, those discussions are creative discussions. They may
Right.
be about numbers or business, but the process has to have some creativity in it.
So true. So true. So we have to put something out to get some feedback and critique back.
Mhm.
And the first thing we come out with may not be perfect, but we allow that to come out, which
Mhm.
takes courage, right? But it also drives home this idea that many are so afraid of not doing it right that they don't, like your sister was talking about,
Mhm.
don't put that first mark on the page. They
Mhm.
don't speak up because they don't think they have it fully formulated or know what it looks like. And what you're saying is put it out there, get some feedback, get some critique. It might not be perfect, it might need to be massaged in some way, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you can't live your life as a blank piece of paper.
Nope. Nope. I think that's what we're going to have to call this section. You can't live your life with a blank piece of paper. That'd be kind of boring anyway.
Yeah. Who wants to be paper?
Who wants to be blank paper?
Exactly. No one.
Okay, well, we solved that problem. We're so good at this,
I know.
solving problem after problem, you know.
People should really listen to us more.
You really should. We are women in the know,
There you go.
right?
Self-proclaimed women in the know.
That's it. Till, till next week, anyway, when we have more knowingness coming your way.